Zeus is one of the most supreme gods in Greek mythology, regarded as the king of the gods and ruler of Mount Olympus. He is the son of the Titan Cronus and Rhea, and he overthrew his father to seize control of the world. Zeus is the god of the sky, thunder, and a symbol of power and justice. If earthly kings had 3,000 concubines, then a supreme god like Zeus certainly wouldn't be outdone. He had numerous famous and infamous love affairs with goddesses, nymphs, and mortal women. However, he had the misfortune of marrying a jealous wife, which made all his romances full of obstacles. There are simply too many to count, but below, I will share with you 10 of his most notable love affairs. 1. Zeus and Hera, his official wife. Hera is the goddess of marriage and family. She is both the sister and the official wife of Zeus. Despite Zeus's many affairs, Hera remained the goddess standing by his side on Mount Olympus. Their marriage, however, was far from happy, as Zeus was frequently unfaithful, and Hera was notorious for her intense jealousy. She often took out her anger on Zeus's lovers and illegitimate children. If you had a choice, would you want to be a goddess standing at the pinnacle of power but constantly consumed by jealousy and anger? As the saying goes, marriage isn't always paradise, especially when your husband is the god of thunder with a passion for conquest. But if I were Hera, instead of chasing after my husband's affairs in the shadows, I would focus on enhancing my own value, rather than making life difficult for others, and enjoy the privilege of standing atop Mount Olympus as a powerful woman. 2. Zeus and Leto. Leto was one of the Titan goddesses, the daughter of Zeus and Phoebe. She was known for her gentle beauty, compassion, and calm nature. Leto had a love affair with Zeus before he married Hera. Zeus loved Leto, and she became pregnant with twins. However, when Hera discovered their relationship, she was consumed by jealousy and sought to punish Leto. Hera forbade any land from allowing Leto to give birth, forcing her to wander in pain and despair. Chased by Hera and rejected everywhere out of fear of the wrath of the Queen of the Gods, Leto had nowhere to go. Hera even sent the giant serpent Python to hunt her down. Despite her suffering and exhaustion, Leto continued searching for a safe place to give birth. Finally, she arrived at a small, barren, floating island called Delos, which drifted on the sea and was not considered solid land. Because of this, Delos was not bound by Hera's curse. The island welcomed Leto, and Poseidon used a sacred pillar to anchor it in place, making it a safe haven. There, Leto gave birth to her 2 children. Artemis was born first, and immediately after her birth, she helped her mother deliver her younger brother, Apollo. Apollo and Artemis grew to become powerful and wise Olympian gods. When he grew up, Apollo did not forget the suffering his mother endured. Using his unmatched archery skills, he killed Python at the Temple of Delphi, making it his sacred sanctuary. Zeus never hesitated to leave his mark wherever he went, but this time, he left Leto with nothing but trouble. Luckily, Apollo and Artemis were not only strong but also incredibly gifted. 3. Zeus and Europa. Europa was a beautiful princess, the daughter of King Agenor of Phoenicia. She was known for her extraordinary beauty, gentle nature, and captivating charm, which caught the attention of Zeus. As usual, Zeus was enchanted by Europa's beauty. He wanted to win her over but knew that appearing as the supreme god might terrify her. Instead, he devised a cunning plan. He transformed himself into a magnificent white bull, with a sleek, shimmering coat that glowed like the sun. One day, while Europa and her friends were strolling along the beach picking flowers, Zeus, in the form of the white bull, slowly approached them. With his gentle and majestic appearance, he attracted Europa's attention. She was mesmerized by the bull's beauty and calm demeanor. As she stroked and eventually climbed onto its back, Zeus seized the moment. The instant Europa was securely seated, Zeus charged into the sea, swimming across the vast ocean, carrying her far away from her homeland. At first, Europa was terrified, but she soon felt the power and security of the divine being who had abducted her. Zeus took her to the distant and safe island of Crete, where Hera could not harm her. On Crete, Zeus revealed his true identity and showered Europa with love. From their union, she gave birth to 3 sons, Minos, who later became the king of Crete and the founder of the Minoan civilization. Rhadamanthys, who became one of the 3 judges of the underworld. Sarpedon, a legendary warrior and hero in mythology. To express his love, Zeus gifted Europa 3 magical presents, a sacred bull named Talos, who protected her and the land of Crete. A necklace crafted by the god Hephaestus. A hunting dog that never failed to catch its prey. The name Europa and its legacy. The land where Zeus brought Europa was later named after her, Europe. She became a symbol of beauty, charm, and the connection between different cultures. So, if a magnificent white bull ever appears and invites you for a ride, think of Europa and consider carefully before accepting. After all, not everything that looks tempting leads to a good outcome. Be cautious of dazzling appearances. 4. Zeus and Io. Io was a beautiful nymph, the daughter of King Inachus, the first ruler of Argos. She served as a priestess of Hera and was known for her gentle and pure beauty. Her radiance quickly caught the attention of Zeus. Enchanted by Io's beauty, Zeus decided to win her heart. Knowing that Hera was fiercely jealous, he tried to approach Io in secret. However, Hera was always suspicious and closely monitored Zeus's actions. To hide Io and their affair, Zeus covered the land with a thick blanket of clouds. However, this only heightened Hera's suspicions. She immediately cleared the clouds and found Zeus with Io. In a desperate attempt to protect Io from Hera's wrath, Zeus quickly transformed her into a pure white cow. But Hera was not easily fooled. Pretending not to know the truth, she sweetly requested Zeus to gift her the beautiful white cow. Unable to refuse, Zeus had no choice but to agree. Hera then entrusted Io to Argus Panoptes, a giant with 100 eyes, making him the perfect guardian. Even when he slept, some of his eyes remained open, ensuring that Io had no chance of escaping. Zeus could not bear to see Io imprisoned forever, so he sent Hermes, the clever and resourceful messenger god, to rescue her. Disguising himself as a shepherd, Hermes approached Argus and told him endless stories, lulling him into sleep. Once all 100 eyes were closed, Hermes swiftly killed Argus and freed Io. Upon hearing of Argus's death, Hera was furious. She took his 100 eyes and placed them on the tail of a peacock, making the peacock her sacred symbol. Still unwilling to let Io go, Hera sent a gadfly to relentlessly chase and torment her. Io was forced to run endlessly, wandering across vast lands, from Greece to Egypt, suffering from the insect's painful stings. At last, Io arrived in Egypt, where Zeus restored her human form as a blessing. There, she gave birth to Epiphus, who later became a great king of Egypt. Io was worshipped as a goddess, and her life finally found peace. Zeus was certainly a creative mastermind, but turning his lover into a cow didn't exactly make things smoother. Meanwhile, Hera was like a detective who missed no detail. In the end, Io had to run across the world just because of Zeus's romantic pursuits. Truly, deceiving the gods is easier than deceiving a suspicious wife. 5. Zeus and Callisto. Callisto was a beautiful nymph and a devoted follower of the goddess Artemis. As a member of Artemis's retinue, Callisto took a vow of chastity and pledged to live a pure life, just like the goddess she served. Her beauty and loyalty soon caught the attention of Zeus. Zeus, captivated by Callisto, knew that she was faithful to Artemis and would not be easily seduced. So, he devised a cunning plan. He transformed himself into Artemis, the very goddess Callisto trusted the most. Disguised as Artemis, Zeus approached Callisto while she was wandering through the forest. Believing it was her goddess, Callisto let her guard down. Zeus took advantage of her innocence and trust, deceiving her and ultimately causing her to become pregnant. As Callisto's pregnancy progressed, it became impossible to hide. When Artemis discovered the truth, she was furious that Callisto had broken her vow of chastity. As punishment, Artemis banished Callisto from her sacred entourage. Things only worsened when Hera, Zeus's jealous wife, learned of the affair. Overcome with rage, Hera transformed Callisto into a bear as a form of punishment. Even in her bear form, Callisto managed to give birth to a son named Arcus. Years later, Arcus grew up and, while hunting, almost mistakenly killed his own mother, still trapped in the form of a bear. Just in time, Zeus intervened and saved them both by placing them among the stars, immortalizing their story in the night sky. Callisto became the constellation Ursa Major, the Great Bear. Arcus became the constellation Ursa Minor, the Little Bear. Zeus was truly a master actor, one moment a white bull, the next playing the role of Artemis, to get what he wanted. But this time, the consequence was a brilliant constellation in the sky, proof that Zeus's love could leave an eternal mark. And the lesson for us? Never trust appearances too easily, even if they belong to someone you revere the most. Caution is necessary in every situation. 6. Zeus and Semele. Semele was a beautiful mortal princess, the daughter of King Cadmus of Thebes and Queen Harmonia. With her radiant beauty, she quickly caught the attention of Zeus. As always, Zeus fell in love and was determined to make her his. Zeus approached and seduced Semele. Overwhelmed by his charm and divine presence, Semele agreed to become his lover. Their relationship soon led to Semele becoming pregnant. However, as always, the affair did not escape the notice of Hera, Zeus's wife. When Hera discovered that Semele was carrying Zeus's child, she devised a plan for revenge. Disguising herself as an old woman, Hera approached Semele and gained her trust, pretending to be a close confidant. During their conversation, Hera planted a dangerous idea in Semele's mind. How can you be sure your lover is truly Zeus? If he really is, ask him to reveal his true form to prove his love. Semele, deceived and filled with curiosity, followed Hera's suggestion. She asked Zeus to show her his true divine form, just as he appeared before Hera. Zeus, knowing that this request would be dangerous for Semele, hesitated. However, because he had sworn never to refuse her requests, he was bound to honor his promise. Reluctantly, Zeus revealed his true form, a mighty god, surrounded by blinding lightning and divine fire. But as a mortal, Semele could not withstand the overwhelming power of Zeus's pure divinity. She was burned to ashes by his radiance and thunderbolts. Despite Semele's tragic fate, Zeus saved the unborn child in her womb. He carefully took the baby and sewed him into his own thigh, allowing the infant to continue growing. When the time was right, Dionysus was born from Zeus's thigh, becoming the god of wine, revelry, and joy. Later, Zeus granted Dionysus immortality and welcomed him to Mount Olympus. As Dionysus grew older, he never forgot his mortal mother. He descended into the underworld and persuaded Hades to let him bring Semele's soul to Olympus. With Zeus's blessing, Semele was granted immortality, becoming the goddess Thyone, the goddess of ecstasy and divine festivities. Semele was undoubtedly the most fearless lover, daring to ask Zeus to go public with their relationship. Loving a god might be romantic, but if you ever ask them to reveal their true form, make sure to wear fireproof clothing first. As for Zeus, though far from the perfect father, he did his best to protect his child. This story reminds us that even in Greek mythology, the gods possess emotions that are deeply human. 7. Zeus and Danae. Danae was a beautiful princess, the daughter of King Acrisius of Argos. Her beauty captivated all who saw her, but her fate was intertwined with a terrifying prophecy. King Acrisius, concerned that he had no male heir, consulted the oracle of Delphi. The prophecy foretold, "You will not have a son, but your grandson will be the one to kill you." Terrified by this prediction, Acrisius decided that Danae must never marry or bear children. To prevent this, he imprisoned her in a bronze tower, an isolated chamber with no doors or windows, ensuring that she would never meet any man. However, Zeus, known for his unusual ways of conquering love interests, was drawn to Danae's beauty. Undeterred by her confinement, Zeus devised a unique approach. He transformed himself into a golden rain, which fell through the cracks of the bronze chamber and merged with Danae. Through this divine intervention, Danae became pregnant. She later gave birth to a son, Perseus, who would grow up to become one of the greatest heroes in Greek mythology, famous for slaying the Gorgon Medusa. When Acrisius discovered that Danae had given birth, he was filled with rage and fear, believing that the prophecy would inevitably come true. However, fearing the wrath of the gods, he dared not kill Danae and Perseus directly. Instead, he locked them inside a large wooden chest and cast them into the sea, leaving their fate to the will of the gods. Although Zeus could not intervene directly, he guided the chest safely to the island of Seriphos, where a kind fisherman named Dictys rescued Danae and Perseus. Dictys cared for them and protected Danae, while Perseus grew into a strong and courageous young man. Years later, fate fulfilled the prophecy. Perseus, now a skilled warrior, participated in a sporting competition. During a discus throw, he accidentally struck Acrisius, who was among the spectators. The blow was fatal, and Acrisius died at the hands of his own grandson, just as foretold. The lessons of the myth. In Greek mythology, prophecies are inescapable. No matter how hard one tries to alter fate, destiny will always find a way. Acrisius, in his attempt to control the future, only ensured its fulfillment. So instead of imprisoning others out of fear, nurture love and trust. The more you try to control something, the more likely you are to lose it completely. And once again, Zeus proves himself to be the master of creativity in romance. From a white bull to a swan, now he transforms into golden rain. Zeus's golden rain was truly a breakthrough in the art of seduction. Perhaps Danae was the first person in history to witness a literal rain of money. 8. Zeus and Alcmene. Alcmene was a beautiful and virtuous mortal woman, the daughter of King Electrian of Mycenae. She was married to Amphitryon, a brave general who was often away at war. Her beauty and noble character soon caught the attention of Zeus. As always, Zeus desired to conquer the heart of Alcmene. However, she was loyal and devoted to her husband, making it difficult for Zeus to approach her. To achieve his goal, Zeus devised a cunning plan. He disguised himself as Amphitryon, her husband. One night, Zeus appeared before Alcmene in the form of Amphitryon, claiming to have returned from battle. To prolong his time with her, Zeus made that night 3 times longer than usual. During this seemingly endless night, Zeus seduced Alcmene, and she became pregnant. The very next day, the real Amphitryon returned from war. Confused by Alcmene's behavior, as if he had already come home before, he grew suspicious. Seeking answers, he consulted the prophet Tiresias, who revealed the truth. The night before, Zeus had impersonated him to deceive Alcmene. Though furious at first, Amphitryon ultimately accepted his fate, knowing that no mortal could defy the will of the gods. The birth of Hercules. Alcmene gave birth to a son, Hercules, who was destined to possess extraordinary strength. However, before his birth, Hera, Zeus's wife, discovered the affair and plotted against the child. She delayed Hercules' birth, allowing his cousin, Eurystheus, to be born first, making him the rightful king. As a result, Hercules, despite his strength, was forced to serve Eurystheus, carrying out 12 impossible labors as punishment. Hera never forgave Hercules, as he was a living reminder of Zeus's betrayal. From the moment he was born, she tried to destroy him. One of her earliest attempts was sending 2 venomous snakes into his cradle. But even as a baby, Hercules used his immense strength to strangle the snakes with his bare hands. The lessons of the myth. This myth highlights the complex relationship between gods and mortals in Greek mythology. The gods frequently interfered in human lives, creating both tragedies and legendary heroes. Alcmene was not blamed for betraying her husband, as she had been deceived by Zeus. However, her story still reflects the chaos caused by deception and desire. And once again, Zeus proves his creativity in seduction, this time, not only impersonating a husband but also extending the night itself to ensure he had enough time. So if your husband suddenly becomes mysteriously perfect, you might want to check if a god is impersonating him. And never assume you truly know everything about the person you love, especially if they return from a long journey and seem suspiciously perfect. 9. Zeus and Ganymede. Ganymede was a young prince, the son of King Tros of Troy, the founder of the great city of Troy, which was named after him. He was described as the most beautiful mortal to ever exist, possessing beauty beyond that of any human. One day, while Ganymede was tending sheep on Mount Ida, Zeus caught sight of him and was instantly captivated by his extraordinary beauty. Unable to resist his charm, Zeus decided to take Ganymede to Mount Olympus. In some versions of the myth, Zeus transformed into a giant eagle and personally swooped down to abduct Ganymede. The eagle carried the young prince to the heavens, where Ganymede was given the role of cupbearer to the gods. He replaced Hebe, the daughter of Zeus and Hera, in serving nectar, the drink of immortality, at the grand feasts of the gods. To compensate King Tros for taking his son, Zeus sent him a magnificent chariot or a set of divine horses as a gesture of respect. Additionally, Zeus granted Ganymede immortality, ensuring that he would forever reside on Mount Olympus among the gods. As expected, Hera was not pleased. She was jealous of Zeus's favoritism toward Ganymede. However, unlike her usual jealousy towards Zeus's female lovers, this time her resentment had a different nature, since Ganymede was a young man rather than a woman. The myth ends with Zeus placing Ganymede in the sky as the constellation Aquarius, the water-bearer. The image of Ganymede in the constellation depicts a youth pouring water from a jug, symbolizing service and generosity. Once again, Zeus proves his limitless creativity in his romantic pursuits. This time, he didn't need to disguise himself as anything or anyone, he simply rode an eagle and promoted his beloved straight to Olympus. And for the LGBTQ+ community, Ganymede's story serves as an early symbol of same-sex love, with the most powerful god of Olympus himself embracing and protecting it. 10. Zeus and Metis. Metis was one of the first-generation Titanesses, the daughter of Oceanus and Tethys. She embodied wisdom, intelligence, and cunning. Her name, Metis, literally meant wisdom or craftiness. Known for her exceptional intelligence and ability to shapeshift, she played a crucial role in Greek mythology. In reality, Metis was Zeus's first wife. When Zeus waged war against the Titans to seize control of the universe, Metis played a vital role in ensuring his victory. Using her intelligence and strategic mind, she devised a plan to defeat the Titans, which included tricking Cronus, Zeus's father, into vomiting up Zeus's siblings, Poseidon, Hades, Hera, Demeter, and Hestia. After the war was won, Zeus married Metis as a way to honor her contributions. Despite loving Metis, Zeus was haunted by a prophecy that stated, "The first child of Metis will be a son, stronger than Zeus, who will overthrow him." This prophecy terrified Zeus. He did not want to suffer the same fate as his father, Cronus, who had been dethroned by Zeus due to a similar prophecy. To prevent the prophecy from coming true, Zeus devised a bold plan. He tricked Metis into transforming into a tiny creature, and as soon as she did, he swallowed her whole. However, Metis did not die. Instead, she continued to live inside Zeus, merging with his consciousness and granting him limitless wisdom. Not long after swallowing Metis, Zeus began experiencing an unbearable headache. The pain grew more and more intense until he could no longer endure it. Desperate for relief, he summoned Hephaestus, the god of blacksmithing, and ordered him to split open his skull with a hammer. From the crack in Zeus's head, Athena emerged, fully grown and wearing a suit of armor, ready for battle. Athena was not only Zeus's daughter but also inherited the wisdom and intelligence of Metis, her mother. Although Metis no longer existed in a physical form, she remained a fundamental part of Zeus's being. Thanks to her, Zeus became not just powerful but also the wisest of all gods. As for Zeus, his appetite seems insatiable, from swallowing lightning, breaking promises, and now, swallowing his own wife. But this time, he didn't expect to get a divine headache so bad that Hephaestus had to play the role of an emergency doctor. The lesson here? Swallowing a problem doesn't make it disappear, instead, it might just crack your head open in unexpected ways. Instead of trying to control the future through extreme measures, learn to accept challenges and prepare for them wisely. Conclusion. These myths are not just entertaining stories, but also offer valuable lessons about honesty, self-control, and facing challenges in life. Despite being a god, Zeus displays very human traits, filled with flaws, creativity, and impulsiveness. Zeus is not just a supreme ruler, he is a character who perfectly embodies the complexity of Greek mythology, both innovative and flawed. His many love affairs have shaped some of the most captivating, dramatic, and deeply human stories in ancient Greek culture.